Hey, okay, I'm just gonna hang on to see if anyone is around and see if I want to share this into my group, but I can't seem to do it from here, so I'm gonna try and do it on here. Let's have a look. Say hi if you're there so I can see if anyone's around. I'm going to talk to you briefly about the best thing that you can do, get you started if you're feeling anxious. Hang on. Let me just try and share it into my group so that they can see it too. Just a moment. Say hello. Hey, hello, hi. I've still got a bit of a cold. I'm not very with it at all. However, it doesn't really matter. So I thought I'll still come on. Let's have a look. Wrong. Sorry, I'm a bit slower than normal. Okay. Okie dokie. Oh, hi. Oh, there's a few people here today. That's nice. Sorry, that noise in the background is my cats scratching away. So just ignore that if you can hear it. Okay, so I'll get started then. So here is the best thing that you can do if you are anxious. Okay. When I teach people about the three principles, which completely changed my life in terms of anxiety and has done for hundreds of other people, it's about not having to do anything actually, because it's about the realization that when we are anxious, we are feeding it. When we have anxious thoughts, we get anxious feelings, we then go and feed that with all of this figuring out what we need to do to stop this and how we need to fix the anxiety and how we need to just get rid of it because we can't go on like this, etc., etc. And all the while that is feeding it. And once people start to understand the three principles, they then start to see that for themselves. And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing you can do for yourself is to start to explore your own experience of life and be open to seeing that things, that's the doorbell, sorry. Open to seeing that things can be different. I'm just going to shut the door because we're going to hear lots of raucous children. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So it's about exploring your own experience of life differently. So I'm going to give you an example here, which was actually with my daughter, because for those of you that I can see there are people on here who have done some work around the three principles with myself, whether that be at an event or on a programme. So some of you will know what I'm talking about. But even for those that don't, this is relevant because a lot of it is about the three principles are mind, thought, and consciousness. And they're the three things, understanding of those and how the human experience works, that completely changed my life in terms of anxiety. So last week, one of the biggest things that is kind of like the biggest breakthrough for most people is that they start to realise that it is their thoughts that are creating those anxious feelings. You do not feel anxious without anxious thoughts. It's impossible. You cannot feel anxious without anxious thinking. And once we start to really realise that that's the case, now I can sit here and tell you, I can sit here and I coach people the three principles and they get it. But when it really starts to take hold and to change those anxious feelings is when you really start to see for yourself. So it's not about other people telling you. It's not about someone saying, do this and do that and you'll be okay. It really isn't. It's about you seeing for yourself, oh yeah, that's how it works. Oh, right, that makes sense. So to give you an example, I've just seen it in your life. Now, people also ask me if they've got children, because people that learn the three principles and they see it starts to change their life, they go, I want to do this with my kids. And so one of the things I do is I just help my daughter have her own insights, but help her see when she's having an insight into the way the human experience works in terms of our feelings. So here is an example. So, and this example will apply for adults as well. So when I'm telling you this, you can think about yourself in this sort of context as well. So my daughter was going on a two-night trip with school overnight. She's not done it very often. She's done it once before, and she was really excited about it, but she was also nervous about it, understandably. And the thing is that my daughter gets nervous about is that she realizes through experience that when she's tired and when it gets late at night, that she then starts to miss her mum and dad. Go figure. Yeah, of course she does, because she's tired and she's feeling vulnerable, and she probably would rather be in her own bed at that point. She'd rather be off in the day having fun with friends, but wants to be in her own bed. And we've all got our own where we feel is our safe space. And so she was fine, she was excited and getting ready and all the rest of it, and we were packing a bag, and then it started to get closer to the evening before she was going. And so she started to get upset, and she started to get sad, and she started to say that I'm really scared because I'm going to really miss you at night. And so one of the things that I pointed out to her is, you're scared in this moment right now. You're feeling scared, you're feeling sad, you're crying, and you're feeling tense, and your heart is racing a bit in this very moment because you are missing mum and dad. Yet mum and dad are still here and we're sat here. So all these feelings that you're currently experiencing right now, you say are because you're missing us, but I'm here, sat here. And that might sound a bit stupid, but what that starts to highlight to her, and what it helps her to start to see, is she's creating in that moment those feelings of missing mum and dad and the sadness and the fear as if it's happening here and now. But it wasn't happening because I was sat next to her. So she wasn't missing me, I was there. But actually she felt like she was missing me in that moment and was sad and was scared, even though I was there, because she was creating that experience through her thinking. And we do this all the time. So it's about you starting to see for yourself the experience that you're creating day in, day out in that moment based on what you're thinking. So people will say to me, I'm really worried about something that's going to happen next week, to the point where they're having sleepless nights, or they're upset, or they're panicking about it. It's not actually even happening in that moment. So how does it feel like it's happening? Well, it feels like it's happening through our thinking. We are bringing that into our reality through thought. And that's exactly what we're doing with anxiety. We say we feel anxious, but what's happening is we are creating those feelings of anxiety through our anxious thinking, through our thoughts telling us that we are scared, we are anxious. What happens if this happens? What if this? What if that? We are creating it, and we are bringing it into our reality in that moment, as my daughter did that night. Had very strong feelings that she was missing mum and dad when they were both sat in the room with her. That's how powerful thought can be. That is how powerful. I'm so sorry. My cat's just done a poo in the litter tray and I feel like I can't breathe. Dirty. Oh, sorry. It's disgusting. So, yeah, my office has been relegated to the back room where the cats are. And every time I come in here to do a video, they come and join me because they think, oh, I'll just go and do a fresh poo while Sari's on video. Anyway, sorry about that. So we are bringing our thoughts, are creating our reality in that moment. When I sit in front of clients, I know it's disgusting. When I'm sitting in front of clients and they're telling me about their worries and their fears and their da-da-da, you might not be surprised to hear that none of it is about anything in that current moment. It's all about how what's happened in the past might impact them in the future, or how they're just going to feel at future events, future dates. Always worry about what is going to happen. It's never about that moment. So what people are bringing into that room with me is fear, is angst, is worry, is anxiety, all about future things more often than not, and future things that feel very real in that moment, almost feel like they're experiencing them already because they're bringing them into that room through their thinking. So whilst I'm here, has anyone got any questions they want to ask for a couple of minutes? I can't actually stay that long because it's really bad in here. My beautiful, beautiful, handsome cats can create horrible smells. And that's definitely, definitely not just through my thinking. That is real, that smell. Although, actually, funnily enough, this is disgusting. I'm going to share this as another example of thought related experience, even our senses, because that's our consciousness and awareness. In fact, this is gross, but you know when, you know, if you've had a child and they go to the toilet and they do a poo, and actually, I'll come back to that in a second. So when your child has had a poo, and to other people are in the room and they think it's absolutely the worst thing they've ever smelled, and to you, like, it's not the greatest, but it's not that bad. You can live with it because you kind of get used to it, because you're just thinking, this is my child, this is my glorious baby, and we don't have really negative thoughts about the poo, probably thinking, oh, thank goodness they've had a poo today, so they're all on track for the right amount of poos they should be having and all of this. And the way we think about it is very different. I can remember, she probably watched this video and she'll know who I'm talking about. I can remember looking after one of my friend's children, and because she was going to a funeral, unfortunately, and I remember he was in nappies. He was a boy. I'm used to girls, and he was bit older than my daughter, not massively, he was still a baby, and he did a poo and I had to change him, and I was literally trying to stop myself from heaving, because I was just like, oh my God, but that was so much worse than what it would have been for my daughter if it was my daughter, because my thoughts about it were different. It was like, oh, I'm changing somebody else's child's nappy. So that just led from the cats doing that in the litter tray. But again, our experience of everything is different through the way that we think about it and the way that we look at things. Mel, how do you deal with it when you are in the moment? Deal with what, Mel? Tell me. Anxiety, do you mean, when you're in the moment? Or what are you dealing with when you're in the moment? My guess is from your question, if you're feeling really overwhelming feelings, say anxiety is never, it's never about that moment. It's a build-up of lots of anxious thinking. But if it is about dealing with that discomfort or anxiety or feelings in that moment, it's about not doing anything. It's about resisting, trying to fix yourself, trying to figure it all out, and becoming comfortable with the discomfort. That was another big shift for me in becoming, the anxiety. Okay. So, I mean, this is a lot of what I talk about when I talk about the 3 principles, because in the programs that I do, because there's quite a lot in terms of, like, you know, people worry about physical symptoms and all of that stuff. But the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway, and the biggest thing that when people really start to realise, oh my God, I feel all right, even though I was anxious today, it's because they're not getting caught up in that moment. They're not going, what's happening now? When's it going to stop? Right, what's caused this? How have I got to this? Oh, it must have been this morning when I was doing that, and I was worried about this, and I knew 2 days ago that I was getting like this, and I should have done something about it, and I'm here again, and I'm so stupid, and da-da-da-da. And you start interfering with your body's natural way of just processing things. So it's actually about learning to do nothing. And this is the frustrating thing probably at times for people on my courses. I do teach them about the principles, but it's about saying, and now it's about learning, getting comfortable with not having to do anything. Because the less you interfere with those anxious thoughts and that anxious feeling, the quicker it will go away and the less it will just show up naturally. Because you're not trying to fix it all, you're not trying to fight it, you're not trying to work it all out, figure it all out. You know, it's all of that figuring out and working it out, and what do I do now, and how do I fix this? And, you know, put a load of anxious people in a room together, and they'll all discuss who's had what medication, have you tried this, have you tried that? And I was there, I'm not criticising, I have been there. I used to take a lot of, sorry, my brain's fried because I've got a sore throat. A lot of peace in listening to other people going, yeah, I had that tablet and I was bad at first and then I got better. And it's like we compare ourselves to everyone else, yet we are so different. But then we think, oh, because that person had this or that person had that, then actually that's how my journey is going to be. And if you get any sight of that happening to you, like, oh, it's okay because I know that happened to that other person, but we're all so different. And actually the best thing we can do is leave it well alone. So, you know, I would say now, and I'm joking, it's not funny, because feeling really anxious for a period of time is a horrible feeling. I get it. It's kind of, I've been in situations where I've tried so many things, and then it's usually once I just give up and give in and go, oh, I'm done, I start to settle and go, oh, actually, do you know what? Maybe I'm all right. Denise went out today on the bus, not done that for ages, told myself I can do this. Absolutely you can, of course you can, and you're still alive because you're messaging on here, which is brilliant. We all have things that we get scared of, that we avoid, that when we're anxious we think we can't do that, we can't do this, and none of it's true. None of it is true. So many people that I've worked with tell me, I've done this week, I've not done it, I've done that, and I've done this, and I know I can do this, I've booked a holiday, I've done this. Because of course you can, because you've just stopped overthinking absolutely everything in that moment, and you've had the clarity of, do you know what, I can do this. So that's great, well done, good on you. So yeah, so is there anything else? I'll just hang on a second to see if there's anything else pops up. But yeah, that's the one of the biggest things that you can do is just kind of leave it all well alone. And don't compare yourself to other people. We're all so different. The only common denominator with all of this, in any of us that feel anxious, is that it's coming from anxious thinking. Apart from that, there's no other similarities. There's no other similarities. It's all very different. Even for yourself, depending on your mood and where you're at, it's not the same. Every time you've experienced anxious feelings through your anxious thinking, it's never ever been the same twice. I'm telling you that now. It's never been the same. You might look out for similarities. I was like this last time, and this happened last time, and then I was all right the next day, or it was about 3 days after, so I'll probably be all right in 3 days. It's never the same. It's never the same. So don't try to put yourself in that same box, like, well, I'll try what everybody else has tried, or I'll try. It's just about understanding more about the human experience and more about yourself and how you tick. Yes, it is thinking. Of course it is. Absolutely is. And then sometimes we overthink that much that we then have those feelings, and then we get physical symptoms, and then the cycle continues because we then overthink all of those physical symptoms. And we get stuck. But we don't need to get stuck. We just drop the thought and it passes. And I don't say that lightly, because I do understand how horrible it feels and how uncomfortable it feels in those situations, but you're still alive, it passes. It passes. Leave it alone and it will pass quicker. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there, and thank you for popping on, for those of you that are on here. It's nice to see comments and things like that, so I know I say it all the time, but I don't like being on my lonesome on these. So I'll leave you all to it, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and take care. Bye for now.